Thank you all so much for joining us. I apologize for the wait. This is a case that has tied up a lot of resources for us, and in a bit, you'll understand exactly why. It's a pretty important case, heartbreaking case, that we've been actively working on basically around the clock since Thursday evening. So let me just start out with this. On Thursday, May 22nd, around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we received a call. Patrol deputies were dispatched to a call for a group home located at 7314 Highland Lake. Now, this group home is one where folks with mental health issues or disabilities are housed in a group setting at a cost to the family. But the initial call came in because a father of a 29-year-old male that was a resident in one of these residences, this one in particular, suspected abuse of his son. Although the young man is 29 years of age, he's well into adulthood, he's a nonverbal autistic man who's really very limited on his capabilities to communicate. And the gentleman, the father, was suspecting abuse of the young man because of some injuries that he had seen. So in I believe a great heads-up move on his part, he actually invested in a camera of some sort that he placed in the young man's room and kept it there, unbeknownst to the workers there in the group home. And he captured what we believe to be abuse of his son, abuse that did lead to some injuries. Now, we have made some arrests in this case. We also are continuing to investigate it in partnership with several of our federal partners and other partners in the county system, and I'll elaborate on those. And we've also got at least one fugitive in this case that we're going to be asking the public's help with regard to helping us track this subject down. So let me go to the first slide here. These are the four folks that are suspected in this case, and I will go into greater detail with regard to each and every one and what it is that they are. These people are all employees of, and I'm going to butcher this name, Maofu Home Healthcare. Maofu Home Healthcare. Now, the reason that comes into play is because at this point in time, we do believe that Maofu Home Healthcare is operating several homes in the Bexar County area. Now, that's not to say that all of them are experiencing things like this, but it is something to say that if you have a loved one in one of these group homes, perhaps you should be paying closer attention than normal. Double check these things, and of course, I'll give you the information to give us a call. You can call us at 210-335-6000. You can also send us email tips at bcsotips@bear.org, and I will continue to give that information. So let's go to the first slide. This subject here, Tony Israel, was the first one we placed under arrest on Thursday night going into Friday morning. Believe it or not, Mr. Tony Israel, up to this point, was actually also, in addition to being an employee of this group home, was a part-time deputy of the BCSO. When we found out that this had occurred and he was suspected of these criminal charges, being that he's a part-time deputy, he is an at-will employee at that point, and we immediately issued a termination to him based upon that, and then placed him under arrest for several charges. Assault against a disabled individual, which is a felony 3, injury to a disabled person through criminal negligence. In addition, there may be other charges that may apply, but at this point, that's what we've got with regard to Mr. Israel. He's 45 years of age. He had been with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office since 2023. And at some point in December of 2024, he opted to go from being a full-time employee to being a part-time employee. Now, as a part-time employee, the reason that people go to part-time employment for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they may be running a side business. Sometimes they may be a full-time college student and are needing an adjustment in their hours. Doing so allows them some flexibility with regard to their schedule. At that point, though, they become, in essence, a hourly employee. No benefits, no insurance, no pension. You're just strictly by however many hours that you work. That's how many hours you get paid for. But also the other thing that does is it removes civil service protection. So again, that's what allowed us to terminate him on the spot once we found out about this. Additionally, in this instance, and not that it makes a difference for him now, but Israel also did not have a work permit from the agency to be working in outside employment. So in other words, we did not even know, he had not advised us that he was engaged in outside employment, working in this field of home health care. Next subject. This subject here is the one you just met, Benjamin Tambe. He's 53 years of age. He is facing charges of unlawful restraint and injury to a disabled individual through criminal negligence. He was also employed as an employee here at this establishment. Mr. Tambe, let me just say, all of the subjects here that we're showing you, they are all natives of different countries in Africa. They've all come to the United States. Obviously, Israel is a U.S. citizen now, naturalized U.S. citizen. Benjamin Tambe is a naturalized U.S. citizen. But as such, he is facing these charges. He was placed under arrest. The reason that we've been working this for so long, Tambe, we actually didn't have any information on his whereabouts. On the evening that we became aware of it, it appears that he absconded and went basically underground, and we were not able to locate him very easily. But earlier today, our stop team was able to locate him on Hunt Lane in West Bexar County, where he was placed under arrest without incident for those warrants. And now, as we speak, he's being booked into South Tower. Next slide. This next person, Ann Holland, she's 53 years of age. She is what we would consider at this point a non-custodial arrest. In other words, Ms. Holland is the manager of this group home in particular. At present, obviously, she's claiming lack of knowledge of the ongoing, what we consider to be ongoing abuse of this 29-year-old male. But our partners at the fire marshal's office paid a visit to this home health care, this group home, and did find several violations: prohibited occupancy, rendering fire protection system inoperative, unlawful acts, and then an unsafe conditions. So in other words, this is not really a home that's designed, it's a home, it's in the middle of a neighborhood, and it's not really designed to be a long-term healthcare facility. If they do intend to do home health care in a facility like that, obviously there's got to be some upgrades done, and my understanding is that this place was nowhere near up to snuff, up to standards, and so the fire marshals issued several citations. Now, one of the things that we're asking the public for assistance on is, one of the things that's hinging in this case is the fact that there may have been more people than what we know about housed in this facility. My understanding is if they house over 3 patients in one of these facilities, that necessitates them having a different kind of licensing. At this point, we believe that there may have been more people than what's legally allowed housed there, but at this point, we're only able to prove up 3 to include this 29-year-old male. So again, we're asking anybody with information on this residence in 7314 Highland Lake Drive, if you've either had or have relatives housed in this facility, or if you know of anything going on, or if you suspect that your loved ones may have been victims of any sort of abuse at this home health care or any others, again, please give us a call, 210-335-6000. You can also email us at bcsotips@bear.org. Now, Ms. Holland, at this point, we're going to continue to investigate this moving forward, along with our partners at the fire marshal's office. If we do find other citable offenses, she will be cited in addition. If we find other arrestable offenses, she's also open to being arrested in the future. This is just the beginning of this investigation. Additionally, and we'll show you the 4th slide here in just a little bit, not quite yet. In addition, the 4th subject that we're going to be showing you here shortly, we do believe that he's got a visa to be in the country, but it's a tourism type visa. It is not, and he's certainly not allowed to be employed. So we have at this point notified federal authorities as to the fact that this person was working, and that additionally may open up Ms. Holland to additional charges with immigration authorities for employing this person, if we can prove up that she knowingly employed him. And certainly if she did not knowingly employ him, then I would say certainly she should have known. If you're going to be employing somebody around persons that are in as helpless of a situation as this poor man that was abused at the hands of these guys, you should absolutely know who it is that you're putting in charge of these people. So again, she may be facing additional charges later on down the road. Next slide. This is actually a map of showing where the location of the group home. It's off Wood Lake Parkway, East Bexar County, in unincorporated Bexar County, out in the area near Converse, near that area, although it's in unincorporated Bexar County near Highland Lake. Next slide. And of course, I believe we'll be sharing all these slides with the news desks as well. This is the last subject here. He's still at large. Harrison Odiri, 52 years of age. He is wanted on charges of unlawful restraint and injury to a disabled or criminal, injury to a disabled person, again, through criminal negligence. Mr. Odiri is also, as I mentioned, he is a native of an African country. At this point, we have notified immigration authorities just in case he does intend to flee from the country during this investigation. But we are asking anybody with any information on his whereabouts to please give us a call immediately, 210-335-6000, bcsotips@bear.org. Let me just say, and then I'll transition to Spanish for Spanish media. This is a heartbreaking case. It's an enraging case. Although at this point we are not at liberty to share the video with the public, we do intend to share those videos with you all at some point once we obtain some permissions. But I can tell you right now, completely enraging to watch this video. This is a 29-year-old man that is completely helpless. He can move around, but it's pretty clear he does not understand what's going on, much less the abuse that's being heaped upon him. These folks, at times, I believe that there are some medical type splints that they have to put on him, as well as a helmet that they put on him before putting him to bed. My understanding is he has exhibited some self-injurious type behavior, but nonetheless, what we see is nothing short of abuse. It's nothing short of abuse of this poor, helpless man. And quite frankly, if these people never saw the light of day outside of a jail again, I'd be completely satisfied to do that. Obviously, we've got to make sure that we're respecting their rights to due process. But at this point, again, as I mentioned, it's pretty disgusting to watch the fact that these people who call themselves home health aides are just abusing this man beyond belief. And so we're hoping for a full recovery for that man and for the family. Again, kudos to the man's father for having the wherewithal to place that camera and then sharing the information with us. Esta tarde nosotros estamos dando información tocante este caso que se toca de un caso de un hogar de grupo, donde este hombre autístico de 29 años sufrió abuso a las manos de tres sospechosos. Y también ahorita tenemos dos de estos dos sospechosos bajo arresto por estos cargos. La gerente que estaba encargada de la casa, del hogar, ahorita ella le dieron tickets, la oficina del Fire Marshal le dieron tickets a ella por varios delitos que tenía la casa. Y ahorita también estamos buscando este hombre, Harrison Odiri, 52 años de edad, por los mismos cargos. Los tres hombres, se aparenta que ellos abusaron de este hombre físicamente. El padre del hombre, él sospechaba que algo le estaba pasando a su hijo. Él puso una cámara encubierto en el cuarto de su hijo y capturó la evidencia que nosotros necesitamos, el abuso de su hijo. Nos lo reportó a nosotros y nosotros desde el jueves en la noche nosotros hemos estado investigando este caso. Arrestamos al primer sospechoso esa noche, Tony Israel, que él hasta ese momento estaba trabajando algunas horas con nuestra agencia, como oficial de nuestra agencia, pero también estaba trabajando con esa agencia. Él fue arrestado esa noche. Benjamin Tambe lo arrestamos esta mañana, nuestro equipo de STOP, que ellos se encargan de buscar fugitivos. Todo el día ayer, esta mañana lo estábamos buscando y lograron encontrarlo esta mañana en el oeste del condado y lo arrestaron. La mujer, Holland, era la gerente que estaba encargada de la casa. Le dieron varios tickets por eso, pero también ahorita nosotros seguimos investigando. Queremos averiguar cuánto sabía ella del abuso que estaba pasando este hombre. Ahorita, aunque no tenemos mucha evidencia de eso, también vamos a seguir investigando, pero también estamos trabajando con autoridades de inmigración federales para poder averiguar si ella supo que Harrison O'Deary, aunque él está en una visa de turista en este país, no tiene el derecho de trabajar legalmente. Entonces nosotros queremos saber si Holland sabía que estaba ocupando a un hombre que no tiene el derecho de trabajar legalmente. Entonces es posible que ella también se vaya a enfrentar con cargos federales de inmigración a causa de eso. Any questions thus far?
So are you guys still gathering more evidence to arrest Holland?
We are. We're going to continue to gather evidence on all four, to be quite frank. If we find out about, for example, if we find out about another person that comes forward that says, hey, look, my sister, aunt, brother stayed in this home and suffered abuse, here's the documentation of it, it was a month ago, it was a year ago, it was whatever, they can bring that evidence to us, and we will absolutely file whatever appropriate charges we possibly can prove up. So it's quite possible, as a matter of fact, I think it's highly likely that at least one of these four, if not all four of them, will be facing additional charges. So again, we're asking anybody with any information to give us a call, 210-335-6000 or bcsotips@bear.org. Let me give you that same thing in Spanish if that's okay. Es posible que alguno de estos sospechosos se van a enfrentar con otros cargos adicionales. Si alguien nos llame al 210-335-6000, si nos dan más información que hace un mes, hace una semana, hace unos 2 años que ellos tenían a alguien en este hogar que sufrió abuso, si nos pueden dar evidencia de eso, entonces nosotros con todas ganas vamos a seguir investigando y es posible que estos 4 se vayan a enfrentar con otros cargos adicionales.
The videos, you said you weren't going to release them, but can you describe to us what you've seen in those videos?
Sure, from what I've seen, I saw 2 of them. In one of them, it looks like O'Deary and Tambe are administering some sort of medication to this man. He's held on the floor, and while you can't really see what it is that's going on because the camera angle, you can tell that they're holding him down. You can tell that they're forcibly, forcing this medication down his throat. It appears that they're using a syringe without a needle on it, so like the kind that you use for a baby. And then you can hear him gurgling where they're forcing this medication down his throat. It's heartbreaking to watch. It's enraging to watch. It's again, that's the one that I can see with those 2. On the one with where at least Israel and Tambe are, it might quite possibly be all 3. They're putting the man to bed. It looks like they're putting him to bed, and obviously he's resistant, right? He doesn't fully understand what's going on, but he's not any sort of threat to these guys. These are 3 big guys, physically big guys, and this man is basically very, very thin, very, very frail looking, and he's not assaulting them. He's got like a defensive posture. He's probably used to being abused by these people, quite frankly. He knows what's coming. And so he's, the lack of understanding of the situation, coupled with the fact that he's probably used to being abused, he strikes a defensive, what I would call a defensive push. So he's laying on his back with his hands and legs up, but they're, smacking him around, pushing him around. At one point, they tie him up with what looks to be like a sweater or a blanket, and then they force this helmet. It's like a rubber, like a martial arts type helmet over his head before putting him to bed. And again, it's enraging to watch because you know that this gentleman he's not able to comprehend what it is that he's doing, and he's certainly not responsible for his own actions, and it's pretty clear he's not intending to hurt these guys at all. Not to mention he's not a threat to them. Even if he did intend to hurt them, he's not a threat to them at all. There's 3 of them. So just the fact that they're just piling on the abuse and tying him up. I believe he was a resident of this group home for about 7 years. And so I can't even imagine. We just saw a glimpse. We saw that much of that in 2 instances. I can't even imagine what he's gone through in the past 7 years.
Can you give us his name, and do you know where he's at now? Is he still in the home health care?
I don't have his name here. He's out. I believe his dad transferred him to another facility. And, you know, certainly I have all the faith in the world. He's a good dad, right? He seems to be a very good, conscientious dad. He's got his hands full with an adult son that's got very limited capacity to understand what's going on. So my heart certainly breaks for him and for families in that situation. I believe he's moved him elsewhere. When we're able to part with the name, we certainly will. What's keeping us from releasing the video at this point is the video's not ours. The dad shot it. So as soon as we're able to get that permission from him to release the video, we absolutely will. We would ask that you blur out the victim's identity if we're able to do that. If we're not able to do it, we would ask that you all do that for us as well. But again, our intention is to get this to you as soon as possible. Let me just kind of highlight the bigger issue if I can, and if y'all have any other questions for me, I'll certainly stay here as long as you need me to. Here's what we believe, what we've seen in talking to the fire marshal's office. We have seen an uptick in these group homes popping up in the unincorporated areas. In other words, the areas outside the city limits of the various cities. What we believe is occurring is the reason that we're seeing an uptick on these in unincorporated areas is because, like city of San Antonio, they have a lot of ordinances that deal with this. They're very heavily regulated. My guess is that some of the other smaller cities probably also heavily regulate these. But in unincorporated areas, not only do we not have as many regulations, our hands are somewhat tied as being a county entity. Our ability to pass ordinances is very limited as opposed to a city. So in other words, they're able to operate probably a little more loosely in the unincorporated areas. I will be talking to Judge Sakai to see what we can do as far as tightening things down and making it not so easy for these folks to just operate in the county with impunity and just continue to do this thing. Because I know that they're making money at this. They're probably making a lot of money, if I had to guess. So, you know, that's probably what drives a lot of this, is they're making a whole lot of money and trying to not spend as much, to decreasing their overhead to increase their profits is what I'm guessing. But again, they're doing it at the cost of human rights. They're doing it at the cost of these people's health, and obviously in these instances. So again, we're going to look at ways that we can tighten this down in the unincorporated areas if it's possible. Any other questions, guys? No? Okay. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.